He's the life of the party, and he's got a huge hit on YouTube with the Loftus Party. My dear friend, comedian, writer, producer, and creator of the Loftus Party joins us tonight on Whiskey Business. Hi, I'm Dino Tripodis, and welcome to Whiskey Business, the podcast not so much about whiskey as it is one with whiskey. In this week 3 of our remote broadcasting, as we are all adhering to the rules here in the state of Ohio and all across the country in a lot of places, the stay-at-home order. What are you doing on your stay-at-home time? Are you like me? Have you made a to-do list of things in order to occupy your time? I'd like to share some of that with you. For example, I have on my to-do list organized DVDs alphabetically and by genre. Very geeky. And you say, why do I still have DVDs? Because when the internet crashes, I will be the only person still able to watch Goodfellas. All right. 2, start reading Harry Potter books in the Spanish translation. Right? 3, learn how to read Spanish. 4, make a list of all of my enemies that I think I could kill and get away with it. It's not supposed to be on this list. Sorry, that's for later. That's dark. 5, make virtual chess move with Vladimir. Hang on one second. Pawn to Queen's Bishop 4th. Check, bitch. Nice. Cut my own hair. No, that's a bad idea. And 6, we're doing what we can do as well. Before I move any further and introduce our guest and our guest bottle, because we still have a guest bottle tonight, let's introduce the boys from Whiskey Business who do all the hard work, the technical work. Greg Hansberry in my left-hand corner, John Whitney in my right-hand corner. I cannot do the podcast with them outside of this situation, let alone in this situation. So there's a round of applause to be had. It's for those two guys. So please, bravo, well done.
What was that sign?
Well Hansberry, you want to dispense some of the business before we get moving here? Remind people what they got to do and how they can find us and so forth and so on.
You got it. Thanks for finding our award-winning podcast, Whiskey Business. Of course, you can subscribe to the award-winning podcast, Whiskey Business, on your favorite podcasting app. Rate and review us while you're there. If you're watching this on Facebook, you found us. You've already liked us. Thank you. Share this post with all your Facebook friends and fans. We're also on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Whiskey Business with Dino Tripodis. We've got a bunch of stuff up there. Plus, you can binge all of the award-winning episodes of Whiskey Business at whiskeybusinesspod.com.
Award-winning podcast, you say?
That's right.
That's right. How much longer can we rest on those laurels? That was last year. So if they have another podcast,
maybe this year's will get canceled because of all this shit, and we can.
Then we'll stay
for another year.
Yes,
rain for another year. Yes.
All right. And also, there's a brand new Whiskey Wisdom out today, put together by John Whitney and his brother Gil Whitney, which it's Whiskey Wisdom number 4.
Correct.
Short and fun, and something you can definitely share with your friends. Whiskey quotes that I've made throughout the years that we finally put on video to have some fun with. So enjoy this week's Whiskey Wisdom. The guest bottle tonight. What are you guys drinking? Hansberry, what do you got?
Ancient.
Weller. Okay, Weller. The Weller. That bottle looks very familiar, John Whitney.
Yes, it does. I watched it, by the way.
Did you?
Yeah.
Our 126th bottle on the podcast. A little Jefferson's Reserve, very old, very small batch bourbon. What's the difference between small batch and very small batch bourbon? with this particular one, this is only 8 to 12 barrels of bourbon that have been married to create what I have here in this bottle, as opposed to the 200 to 300 bottles that are married to make what they call small batch bourbon. This is ranges about 50 to 60 bucks. And I always say, is it worth it? Well, I'll be honest with you. Yes, it is. It's really good. It's really good. It's really flavorful right from the get-go. It stays there nice in the middle. It has a pretty nice, strong finish at the end. So I strongly recommend the Jefferson's Reserve Very Old, Very Small Batch Whiskey. As far as the nose is concerned, Hansberry, I feel bad because you were developing such a good nose for whiskey until all this happened. But this one has a nice.
That's the worst thing that happens because of this pandemic. I think we'll be all right, though.
Yeah, a little bit of butterscotch and vanilla in the nose, and the taste is. You got a little bit of.
You look this up. No. Come on now.
One of the signs of Coronis is losing your taste buds. Your
right, and your sense of smell.
I think you're safe. You are safe, Dino.
Let's check your browser history.
126 freaking bourbons. I'm starting to pick up on the fact that there's vanilla and butterscotch. I know what it is, and this one's got just a
marshmallow peep.
No, a touch of brown sugar, and I'll be pretentious and say a hint of tobacco, which I don't know.
Oh,
this is the cigarettes.
Nice.
So yes, the Jefferson's Reserve, very old, very small batch bourbon, between 50 and 60 bucks. If you want to splurge during this pandemic, it's a good way to go. All right, we'll come back to the bottle a little bit later, and I'll tell you how I think if I finish it, because I'm all by myself. I feel so bad that you guys aren't here to enjoy the good stuff.
Yeah,
I really do. Not really. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I've known this guy throughout my entire comedy career, which obviously was cut short to go into radio, but he kept on going, headlining clubs and colleges all across the country for years. But then he shifted into the other side of show business and started writing for George Lopez, the George Lopez Show, Kevin James, Charlie Sheen. He's got a hit show on YouTube as we speak right now, which is on a regular basis. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't. And if you haven't, you should check out the Loftus Party. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, my good friend, comedian, writer, producer, and creator of the Loftus Party, Michael Loftus.
Gentlemen, what a great evening. What an incredible event that I'm here. God bless technology. This is fantastic. Right? It feels like we're all in the same room just having a great time.
Well, I wanted to feel that.
Feels like it.
How are you? First of all, just how are you just, day to day? First of all, where are you? Can you say?
I am in New York. I'm in the we'll call it Long Island. I'm not out in Manhattan, thank goodness. My heart goes out to those people. Mm-hmm. A friend of mine, she recently had a baby, and she and her husband are in a 1-bedroom apartment in Manhattan and can't leave. And that's just gotta be tough. That's gotta be tough. However, update, this is the freakiest thing. They closed the 7-Elevens yesterday. I've never seen this before in my life. I've never seen it before, but like all the 7-Elevens have like plywood up on the windows, and there's chains locking the doors. I'm like,
specifically 7-Elevens. You're not talking about generic fast food, the fast shopping mart. Specifically 7-Elevens.
Specifically 7-Elevens, and then there's a little tiny mom and pop convenience store down the road from me, and that one's closed as well. So maybe it is all convenience stores, but it's just really creepy. You swing by the 7-Eleven and there's chains and there's plywoods. It's like, is it a hurricane? Is it a zombie attack? What's going on? So it's very weird. I'm doing the thing. I'm doing the social distance thing. I'm doing the hand washing thing. I'm doing the self-inflicted freak out when you have a little tickle in your throat and you're like, is this it? Is this it? Am I going now? Am I going?
It's my time.
Seriously though, have you ever
the light.
Have you ever questioned your mortality up to this point in life? I mean, seriously, you have the same vices that I have. You drink, you smoke, but have you ever seriously like, fuck, this could kill me if I can get it? Has that crossed your mind at all? Or do you still feel like you're healthy?
This is the first one. There's a meme going around that really made me laugh that basically says like, Out of all the crazy crap I've done, if I die because I touch my face, I'm going to be pissed.
Right.
That's me.
Basically
That's
it.
me. I don't want to go out like that. I don't want to. I was just working on a stand-up bit. Oh my gosh, where I was saying I want it to be a shock. I want it to be a surprise. Like I don't want to see it coming, and I want it to be so shocking and so surprising that other people are kind of off-put. Right? Like I want my body to turn up naked in the alley in some city in Kansas. I'm covered in barbecue sauce and there's lipstick on my wiener. What happened?
What a death that tells a story.
Right? It was like, what happened here?
And I want to come back out of PI retirement and crack that fucking case. I want to find out. I want to find out why there's barbecue sauce all over your butt and why there was lipstick on the penis.
Well, I think McDonald's had something to do with it.
He was, yeah.
Perry Mason in the case of the lipstick. Lipstick stained penis.
Ronald, damn you!
Yeah, it was gender swap Ronald McDonald and all you can eat nuggets.
McRib.
There's a happy meal for the
But
kids.
I get it, man.
Come
I'm
on,
like
it's gender swap nugget night.
I'm like, yeah, I want to go out fast and unexpected. I don't want any of this other stuff, but it is kind of scary, but we're all here. We're all healthy. And hopefully everybody listening to us and watching us is in good health as well. And I hope you stay that way. Ohio, as you may not know, Michael has done as good a job, if not one of the better jobs of any of the states in the union, as far as, flattening the curve and keeping everybody in check. Governor DeWine saved a lot of lives early, I think, when he made his move to shut down.
He was ready for the zombie hordes.
When
this thing was first coming up, DeWine was out there just like, forget trying to calm the masses. He's like, we expect 7 million cases in Whitehall alone.
Whitehall.
It's like, New Albany will no longer exist. The zombies have taken Reynoldsburg.
Why would they take Reynoldsburg first? Oh, poor Reynoldsburg.
They heard a rumor on Fox News that if you ate tomatoes, you wouldn't catch it.
Speaking of which, you're a regular contributor to Fox News. I see you on there a lot. So they love you. Love you.
I want to tell you in all honesty, they are some of the nicest people you will ever meet in your life. As fate would have it, this is a bit of a story. I was at I was doing stand-up one night at the Melrose room, the Melrose Improv, and like every comic, I'm talking about every comic, was going on there and just railing on George Bush II, the Phantom Menace. Every one of them, just like without fail. Like you're standing, you've played that room a bunch, Dean, right? Mm-hmm. So you're standing in the back of the room and you're like, wow, that guy just did a bunch of like, okay, that guy, he hates Bush. And then the next guy, boy, he hates Bush. And like 5 in a row, 6 in a row. And at this point, it's devolved to where they're not even telling jokes. They're just going, that guy's a stupid cowboy. Boy, he's a and you're just like, it was so incredibly boring that I went up and like, okay, so if everybody zigs, I'm going to zag. Right. So I just went up there and I'm like, he's the best president we've ever had. I love him. And just went, and the audience just erupted. The room, it was one of those nights where it was just magical. It just like the audience, I'm sure all of them liberals were just like, thank goodness, a different perspective.
Even if they weren't Bush fans, they were just thrilled to hear something different, right?
Yes, exactly. It's like, popcorn. Can I please get an M&M? So
I gave it to him.
So after that show, someone must have seen. It's one of those things where you never know who's in the audience. Someone must have seen something. So they asked if I want to do this show called Red Eye with Greg Gutfeld. And so it was via satellite, and I did it, and it was a lot of fun. And then I like never heard anything for years. And then I was back in New York a couple years ago doing a show for CBS called Kevin Can Wait. And as fate would have it, a mutual friend, I was back, I'm doing a lot of stand-up in the New York clubs. And someone must have told someone over there that, oh, that guy, he's back in town. So they invited me back on
that guy
on Red Eye.
Mm-hmm.
I did that. Then that show was instantly canceled.
You're welcome.
But like I go in, I do Fox and Friends, which is an absolute blast. The scariest one was in October last year. I guest hosted this show called The Five, which is
I know The Five. Yeah.
live television at 5. I always thought they pre-recorded it, and they're like, yeah, if you want to roll into the studio at 4, and I'm like, is that going to be enough time for makeup? And they're like, not till 5, and I'm like, holy crap, it's live TV, millions of people watching. If you and there's no delay, and
no delay.
No,
There's got to be some delay.
They used to have a delay back in the early days of the show. I guess there was one dude on there who would like occasionally drop F-bombs and curse words. But yeah, it's if there is a delay, it's not like a 15-second. It's maybe like a 5-second. But it's so much fun. I have an absolute blast down there, and it's the hosts are just incredibly nice. I cannot say a bad word about anyone. It's just been an absolute great time to go down there and do stuff.
Well, there's a lot of things I want to cover with you, and I know because you're busy and currently working on a new project with Kevin James, who you mentioned earlier, for his new Netflix show. So I want to cover as much ground as possible, and I want to start with the Loftus Party on YouTube.
Yeah,
tell us about the Loftus Party, and is it? I've seen it, so I know it actually is kind of like a party. I mean, it's just fun.
Well, here's
I'm
doing head, shoulders, knees and toes.
Yeah, right.
I don't know why I did that. That was like I had a mini stroke. It is, man. It's really weird. Like I always felt like I didn't fit in politically, right? I've got a ton of friends who lean to the right. I have a ton of friends who lean to the left, and like you're either all in or you're not all in. And everybody was like, the first question people would always want to ask you when you start doing political jokes is, oh, so who are you with? Are you a Republican?
Yeah.
Are you a libertarian? Oh, you're a this, you're a that. It's like that's the very first thing they want to do is define you. And I'm like, I don't really fit in anywhere. I believe in human beings. I believe in helping my fellow human being. Mm-hmm. I believe if you teach a man to fish, he's going to do a lot better. So, but I also like cigars and going out and having a good time, and I like it all. So I'm like, I'll just start my own political party that has a much better time, and we're going to laugh, we're going to joke about stuff, and we're going to raise money and help out our fellow human being.
Yeah, I saw that on the site. You do that. It's got its philanthropic moments where you do a lot of good work and raise money for some organizations. You have a lot of fun, and then there's that trademark Michael Loftus humor that runs through it all, seriously,
it's not. It's like I don't know. I want to have a good time. I want to help out other people, and because at some point it'll be one of us asking for help. So it's not like everybody wants to put people into camps, and I just don't dig that. So join my camp.
Go to your camp. The Loftus Party. There it is. Hansberry just put up the Loftus Party logo. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I was like,
who came up with that artwork?
Well, it was based out of a joke because I was doing this monologue. I independently syndicated my own TV show a while back, which is a whole nother story, which was crazy and so eye-opening.
The flip side?
Yeah, the flip side, which that's what we could talk for hours about that. But I'm like, okay, so the Democrats have a donkey and the Republicans have an elephant. How about this? I got a tiger and it flies and it breathes fire. How about that? No, I'm like, if you're gonna make up a mascot for a political party, I'm like, how about that? And it's cool as hell.
You might as well go all the way, man.
And I know you. That's probably those are probably the first three things that popped into your fucking head. Was and you went with it. How about a tiger with the flies and breathe fire? Done. Make it.
Of mine, I have a podcast as well, and it's appropriately titled the Loftus Party. And a friend of mine, when we first were talking about really doing this, she goes, well, you should. She goes, you've already got your mascot. I'm like, what? She goes, that joke you did on the TV show. But I'm like, oh yeah. I didn't even put it together.
There it is. Stephanie Halbert says, hello. Hi, Michael and Dino. I've not seen you two in person in a long time. Me either, Stephanie. Two of my favorite comedians. Oh, that's nice. That's nice of her to say. So speaking of being favorite comedians, this is what I want to know. And I want you to be honest, because I know you will be. Much like everybody in our group that started out, they all had dreams and aspirations of moving to Los Angeles. We all did. You did. I did. And to take those next steps, to go from having that killer set at the Improv to getting a development deal, shooting a pilot, and then being the next Ray Romano, Everybody Loves Raymond, or whatever the case might be. I'm sure that was in your head as well. But then things kind of took a turn, and you end up on the writing side of things. Now, was that something initially when it first happened? Did you say, okay, but not what I really want to keep on doing, and still focus on everything else, or did you say blessing in disguise? Where did the first writing gig start?
The first writing gig started. I was gonna do a TV. I was gonna do like stand up on some cable show, and I literally I cannot remember what it was, but you got to have your 4-minute set and it has to be whatever. So I was out at the Ice House in Pasadena, a great club. When all this blows over and you guys go west, go to the Ice House in Pasadena. That's where Steve Martin, one of the first clubs he ever played. And if you're ever feeling low, as a comedian, you can go to the bar at the Ice House in Pasadena, and they have a clipping on the wall from like that. The local Pasadena newspaper did a review of the comedy night, and they're like, blah 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 was good. This guy was entertaining. Steve Martin, he needs to really rethink what he's doing with his life. Which is like, yeah. So anyway, so I'm out there. I did my set, and it went very well. I got what I needed. So I go back into the green room to get my notebook and my jacket, and there's this big Latino guy, standing back there, and he's like, "Hey, man," he's like, "You're a funny, mother effer," and I got a TV show, and I, you know what? I'm trying to cut back. It's for me.
Did you give it up for Lent? Did you give it up for Lent? Nice.
I'm trying to give it up. I'm trying to give it up altogether. But this guy was like super nice, and he's like, I got a TV show coming out. I want funny people to write on the show. You're a funny guy. Give me your phone number. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And so I gave him my phone number, and that was George Lopez, and he was a genuinely nice guy. And then I got a call about a month later from the production company. They go, hey, George says you're funny. We'd love to read a script and see if you have any interest in writing. And if we like the script, we'll bring you in. So then the hoops started. So as fast as I could, I wrote a spec script for a show called Malcolm in the Middle. I wrote it over the weekend. And then I came in, and then I had the best job ever. I was the punch-up guy. I would only come in like 1 or 2 times a week. So I could go in, be funny, and then go on the road. And then that was the best. And then they invited me. They go, hey, why don't you come in every day? And I'm like, okay. And then I was like, that's when it.
Now it's work.
How many people were in the writers' room on that show, Mike?
On the George Lopez show, there was about 12 of us.
Wow.
And then the showrunner, this guy by the name of Bruce Helford, he would come and go. He had the Drew Carey show.
Yeah, he's big.
He was running. He had the George Lopez show. He had an animated show. I want to call, I forget what it was. Something odd, the Oddballs or something was on. And he was also doing a show for Wanda Sykes. And this guy was just absolutely crushing it. And it was a very weird experience as a performer. there's a different mindset that has to go. Because I would write a joke, everybody in the writers' room would laugh, and they go, "Okay, good one, man," and it would go in, and then you would go down for the live taping, and you're like, "Okay, here it comes," and then some other person would say it, and the audience would go ballistic. The audience would go ballistic, and your first instinct is like, that's not that person. That's me.
It's me. It's me.
But then you quickly get over that, and it was crazy. You never know. That's that classic thing. If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And I had no plan to become a writer, but somehow I've managed to put together half a career doing that.
Half a career? Well, I would say, with the years that have passed now since George Lopez, I'd say that's a little bit more than half. I think you're starting to even out, man, a little bit. As many years as you were on the road doing stand-up, now you're showing success. Because every time I see Michael Loftus credits, I see them kind of rising. I see story editor early on, and then I see written
before the Gaffer Boy.
And then I start to see producer credits, and like my boy is moving up the comedy writing food chain. We talked a lot during one particular period of your sitcom writing career, and it was a crazy deal that Fox made with Charlie Sheen for the show Arrested Development. Not Arrested Development. The anger man. What was the show?
Anger management.
Arrested Development, not Arrested Development. Anger Management, where they said we're going to do how many? 90, 100
right.
shows, 100 shows, all at once.
Yes.
Pretty much
as fast as you can. Make 100 episodes of television as fast as you can.
What was that like?
That's pretty cocky.
It was complete and total madness. In Conan the Barbarian,
Right.
like the first one, the good one with the hot chick in it, like the huntress chick. When Conan's a little kid and he's pushing on that log and it goes in a circle, and he's pushing on the log and it goes to a circle, and then by the end, all of a sudden it's like, I'm Arnold, I'm Conan.
Arnold.
That was me on anger management, because I had written on a couple of shows and I kind of knew what I was doing, but then it was just like they just threw you to the wolves. And it was myself, once again, Bruce Helford, who I'd met on the George Lopez Show, and a boatload of other talent. Everybody on there, everyone who survived that experience was incredibly talented. But that's where I met Sam Simon, the guy who created The Simpsons. He was my buddy and my Obi-Wan Kenobi there for a while. But it was
amazing.
It was just like you put down a piece of wood, you nail it together, then you put down, you're making a bridge as you go. And I look back at that, and as crazy as it was, it's a testament to Charlie Sheen, and I'm not even kidding, to Charlie Sheen and his talent and everyone else involved in that show. That's the only one. For a while there, they thought that was going to be the future of television. A bunch of people tried to do it, and it never worked. Charlie was the only guy who pulled that off. He was the only guy that could make that happen.
And when you say
like
that George,
SNL or something, sketch comedy.
Yeah.
When you say that George Lopez was a great guy and you worked with George, your personal experiences with Charlie Sheen, were they all good? I mean, was he
absolutely?
Because he went through that whole period of his
Blood.
life where he was just chastised
Tiger.
and
this was just right after Tiger Blood.
Right
after Tiger Blood. So working with him on a daily basis, was he a generous boss? Was he did he appreciate what you guys were doing? Did he realize the mission and was on board with what you guys were doing?
Check this out. So I love that dude. I'm a big Charlie Sheen fan. I'm a Martin Sheen fan. I'm a fan of the whole damn family. Renee, Amelia, they're wonderful people. And Charlie could not have been more generous, almost to a fault. Like you're not going to believe this, and it's going to sound just like Hollywood, blah, blah, blah.
No.
Like, that dude is so talented. He could come in And he pulled me aside one time because in the show he was a therapist, and there was like a lot of, occasionally there'd be dialogue. Well, according to the wash table study, that 95%, just gobbledygook that a therapist would say. And Charlie, like, he pulled me aside and he's like, Lofty, listen,
Lofty.
I'm pretty good, but like, if it's conversational, if the dialogue is like conversational, I can memorize 6 pages like that. But as soon as the gobbledygook comes in, he goes off to La La Land, and he was legit. We had to film that show so fast. He was memorizing scripts at an insane rate. Like, his memory is just incredible. And then we're picking up scenes from previous episodes, maybe 2 episodes. So like, okay, so in this scene, this is the one where you're fighting with the girl who, is dating the blah, blah, blah. Then the next scene is going to be the one from 2 weeks ago, because we still owe you talking to the guy who, busted your car window. And then we're going to go, it was just, and he always knew like where he was in the scene, emotionally where he was in the scene. And then you've got 4 cameras to worry about. So if your blocking is jacked up, he's like, no, I can't stand here because I'm in the line of her, and the lighting is going to be better for him there. And just crazy. Just crazy.
Did it make you stronger?
Can I ask?
Go ahead, John.
Absolutely.
No, yeah, for sure.
It was like, that's why I use the Conan the Barbarian metaphor. When I got done with that 2 years, I'm like, I could do it all. I mean, I knew a lot more. I was a lot stronger. Yes, it made me
John,
stronger.
go ahead. You had a question. Go ahead, Johnny.
No, I was saying, how of those 90 or 100 scripts were you involved in every single one of them?
Yes.
Oh, geez. Were you like a lead on the scripts, or did you guys kind of parse out the lead?
We had myself and 3 other people, Bruce Helford, a guy by the name of Dave Kaplan, and Bob Kuchel. And we were like in one room with a couple of other writers. Then there was a whole nother team off in another room. So we would come up with an outline. Go, okay, this happens, that happens, this happens, this. You guys go write that.
Oh, wow.
And then while you're doing that, we're going to work on this. So they would bring that back, and then we would run it down to stage, and then we'd film that, come back. And it was just like, it was just a machine. It was just a machine.
How many shows were shot before it even aired? Like, how many shows were in the can before you guys started airing?
10.
Wow.
We did 10.
Wow.
So they tested those 10, and then
and made the deal, right?
FX, because they did so well in the ratings, it was automatically
we'll do
triggered.
90 more.
Oh, wow.
90.
Oh, Jesus.
So let me ask you, I don't know how the inner workings of your particular field in comedy writing go, but I have to think, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I have to think that anybody who knows your history has to look at what you did as some sort of freaking badge of honor. Like, this is Michael Loftus. He was on anger management with Charlie Sheen for 100 episodes.
There's a lot of people, I think, that
he's indestructible.
When they see that on someone's resume, they just want to go, what was that like?
Right?
You survived that? You're hired.
Was Charlie crazy? Was it nuts? And you're like, the whole thing was nuts. But thank God Charlie wasn't crazy. That dude showed up and he crushed it.
But I'm having survived it. People have to look at you with some sort of, for lack of a better word, respect. That you made it through, that it didn't destroy you, that it didn't kill you, that it didn't fucking make you fucking crazy. Yeah, Michael Loftus, he had a great career until he did the Charlie Sheen show. and now he's lying in an alley with barbecue sauce and lipstick on his feet.
Right? I saw an overturned golf cart halfway down and some McDonald's bags. What happened? It looked like it got him all of a sudden. It looked like he never saw it coming. Yeah, it's fun, man. It's wild.
It's so hard not to just riff with you and stay away from shit that I really want to talk about. But I wish we had fucking 3 hours, but I know we don't. Mm-hmm. So let me not rush through it, because I think it's important, but I want to have some fun with you as well. So then then I see that you pop up on Kevin James, who had a very successful run with King of Queens, comes back to CBS television. Kevin Can Wait. And then I see, and I had not spoken to you in a while, and I saw the credits pop up, and it was boom, Michael Loftus. And I went, holy shit. And I watched the first couple episodes, and we started texting back and forth about it. And how did that whole relationship with Kevin James come to be?
Once again, the guy who was the showrunner was a buddy of mine from Anger Management, and he's like, if you could just come in and help out for the pilot. So I went over to his house, and there was a couple of other writers there. There was a good friend of Kevin's there, an incredibly talented dude, a great stand-up, and a really funny comedian, and a great writer. This dude named Rock Rubin, and they had written the script together, and so I just kind of came in at the last second just to kind of punch it up and blah blah. There wasn't much to do. It was a very funny script. But you add a thing there, you add a thing here, and then they go, hey, could you come out to Long Island for the pilot when we filmed the pilot? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I'd never been to Long Island before, and so I did it, and that's when I met Kevin. And it's just one of those things. I had never met the dude before. Everyone, like, you know how it is, Dean, when you're out, you're doing stand-up, you don't know a lot of the other headliners because they're working while you're working, and yada yada. But man, that dude just legitimately made me laugh. And he's got a very specific thing that he does, and it's hard to define it. And as soon as you try to define it, it's like nailing Jello to a wall. He'll go another way, and so we just kind of hit it off, and Kevin was just like, hey man, I think this thing's really going to go. I'd love for you to think about, coming out here and doing it. And I tell you, I fell I'm pretty much in love with Long Island. From being in LA for so long, I love the vibe out here. A lot more like an Ohio vibe. It's a lot greener. The food is insane. And then you can get into New York, but you can get into the city pretty fast.
Right.
And so yeah, we did 2 seasons of that show together. And then I went off doing my own thing back in LA, and everything was wonderful. And then Kevin was going to do this Netflix thing, and they called me up, and I'm like, yes, I'll come back. I'll come back.
That's all right. Pull me in. Yeah. That show, it was interesting because that show was a hit right out of the gate for the first season. Then they made some, and I've always wanted to ask you this. For those of you who watch Kevin Can Wait, they killed off one of the main characters, his wife, of all things, and brought back in Leah Remini. What was, I've always wanted to ask you, what was the thinking there? And the big question I want to ask you is if it was your fucking idea.
No, it was definitely not my idea. However, you'll agree with this as a writer and as a performer, but especially as a writer, because I know you've written books and stuff. You need some kind of dramatic tension in every sitcom, and there's that engine behind it of there's some kind of tension, even with Friends, even with Seinfeld. George would come in and, what did you do now? I can't take it anymore. It was always there was that tension. Right. And it was a lovely idea for a show. It was a great idea for a show about a New York cop who takes early retirement. He's worked very, very hard. He retires. He moves back home. And then he discovers he doesn't know his family as well as he thought he did. So he's got to, learn more about his daughter and his son and their relationships. And it was pretty much a show. And this is, and I mean no insult to anyone associated with that show at all. I want to make sure I say that. But it was about a guy that was bored. It was about a guy who, well, what am I going to do today? And it's like, oh, I want to make a go-kart. And those are fun, but it was really like it would have been a great movie. It would have been a great movie. And then I honestly don't know who it is, but someone was like, if he was a widower, they go, if he had this plan, I'm a cop, and then I'm going to retire. It's me and my wife and my kids. And then like, now he's a widower and he doesn't know what he's going to do with his life. And then he's really thrown. And then I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. Cause like, what's that like to be back in the dating? Suddenly he's got a bunch more problems and there's, a ton of episodes. And Erin Hayes, phenomenal actress. She's hilarious and wonderful and good. And everyone in that cast was hilarious and wonderful and good. And it was just, the show just kind of took a turn. And then I just don't think it's strange. Like people take that very personally, and Hollywood should never forget that. It's weird. It's like when they switched Darren's on us in Bewitched. I remember thinking, that's
right.
weird. But you love characters, and it's strange. I don't know of a show that's ever like done it successfully.
Well, I find it interesting that you would think in its infancy, 1 year in, that a change like that they might not have gotten so attached to a character that there would be such an uproar. And I also found it interesting that they tried to bring back Leah Remini and to try to capture that King of Queens magic again, but it just didn't seem to.
Well, here's what happened there. You guys get Whiskey Business. You guys are getting the inside scoop.
I want it.
Okay, so we have Leah, who's once again the nicest, kindest, most wonderful person. She did the season finale of season 1,
right?
And it was just, it's like, and I don't want to blow this out of proportion, but there is such a chemistry there. Those guys worked together for years.
Right.
She can smack him upside the head and say the meanest thing, but it comes across as, well, she just loves that guy. She just loves him. It's just like they just bust each other's chops. And when you have that and you're just like, wow, that's a wonderful thing. It's just that chemistry that's just undeniable. It's just undeniable.
So why didn't it continue to work in the second season?
It did not work in the second season, and this is just my opinion, is because it was a little bit too slow to get to the romance. The intent was always to get Kevin and Leah together. He's like, oh my gosh, I've got the perfect person right here under my nose. Why haven't I seen this? And so the audience is so smart, and the audience knew where we were going. They knew exactly where we're going. But we're like, okay, we're going to stretch it out. And then in season 3, and again, it comes back to, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans.
Right.
And the audience is like, no, you should have had him kissing her in episode 2.
But the relationship with Kevin James continues. I actually met Kevin, I think, before you met Kevin, and you can remind him of this and see if he remembers. This is before he was on any television shows. There was a thing in Columbus on New Year's Eve called First Night or something. Was it called First Night Hansberry? First Night Columbus? I don't know. New Year's Eve celebration.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Was it called First Night? He was hired to do stand-up downtown on New Year's Eve in front of all these people, and it was pure hell for him every step of the way. And I honestly, I don't know how much he was getting paid. I hope he got paid a boatload of money, but it was like, he was like actually pacing around. He goes, these fucking people aren't going to want to hear me. They don't want to hear me. They don't want to. What am I going to do? I don't know. What am I supposed to say? What is it? If I say OHIO, can I say that all night? Will that get me through? You can imagine. But he was nervous. Yeah. And it didn't. And it didn't go great. It didn't suck, but it didn't go great. But I just remember, like, oh my God, that had to be one of those gigs. Like, Columbus has got to be stained in his memory as a place that he doesn't want to go back.
That's why he's never come back
ever again.
That was late 90s.
That was late 90s.
Yeah.
So you can bring that up to him if you have a chat. I was talking to my friend Dino, and he met you when you were doing First Night in Columbus, and it'll probably
gig ever.
be a worst gig ever. One question for you before we move on to the next thing with Kevin James, and it comes from our friend John Osbeck, whose microphone I'm using tonight, much better than last week's. I apologize for last week's. I sound like I'm in a tin can. Thank you, John, for the microphone. Michael, what are a couple specific things you've learned as a writer that you would lead with if you were actually teaching a class in sitcom writing? Good question.
This is the most. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Paulie. I want to give a shout out to Paulie Anthony, who's watching.
Yes,
I love
he is.
you, Paulie. I love you like a brother, kid.
Yep.
Yeah, we got to do a poker night reunion. I'll get back.
Trust me, if Loftus winds up back in Columbus for any reason, Paulie, you're making a trip up from Cincinnati. That's happening. Anyway,
Okay.
So to Osbeck's question.
Okay, here. God bless you, Osbeck. I got to take my glasses off for this one because I'm going to get passionate. Okay, I'm going to get very passionate.
Okay. All right.
The most important thing. Write this down. Ask this question. What if it was real? That's it. That is the key to everything. What if this were real? If you can answer that, if you can get into that mindset, you're golden, and you'll be off to a great start. Here's where they can't do that. Evidently, Warner Brothers and DC, they cannot do it. They cannot. Christopher Nolan can do it with Batman, and when Christopher Nolan does it with Batman, oh my gosh, these movies are wonderful. What if it was real? But if you watch Batman versus Superman, it's horrible. It's horrible. And they didn't ask the same question. They didn't pretend it was real with the new Star Wars trilogy. They didn't, and they totally screwed up.
Oh, not a fan.
Oh, I gotta bite my tongue.
Don't bite your tongue. Don't bite it. Not because a fan.
The guy who is the head writer on the Kevin James show that I'm working on now. He's buddies with the guy who ruined the franchise and directed.
Oh yeah, what's his name?
Directed The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say he ruined the franchise that's made millions and billions of dollars. But
how
for the
do you do that? How do you do that? Here's another thing.
John Whitney is a huge Star Wars.
Love Star Wars.
And okay. Do you agree that they ruined the franchise, Whitney?
I think they went away from things that really got that franchise famous. They totally went away.
They went away.
Here's another one. Write this down. Write this down, everybody. Don't kill your villain in the second act.
No. Haven't seen it yet.
That's true.
Oh, you're not missing anything. It's a turd. It's a giant turd.
The Avengers die or something.
Hey, Loftus, one question real quick.
The Avengers is how you do it right.
Yeah. When you talk about can it be possible, or about truth in writing, right? Can it actually happen, right?
Yeah.
Does that go back? Yeah. What is real? Does that go back to how in comedy the best things in comedy, or there's a line of truth in that joke?
Oh, absolutely. I will say that personally, because that's how I based my stand-up. You're making a face, so I don't know. Maybe we disagree.
For the most part, yeah. But then you also, once again, this goes back to if everyone's doing that, there has to be a line of truth. There has to be a line of truth. Then the person who's just being odd and silly will stand.
First of all, let me answer some of the comments. It's a good time. John Osbeck says, brilliant answer. Thanks so much. Paulie Anthony, hey, Lofty, good to see your face, brother. Congrats on the cool work. Hope for that poker reunion. Loftus was part of our poker game that we had here for years when all of us as comics. I will share one story that we used to, the Blue Danube, a fixture here in Columbus, Ohio, was the restaurant that we all used to hang out in early on in our stand-up careers, and we would all congregate down there. And early on in my stand-up career, when I had just recently got divorced, I had my daughter every other weekend. And I remember one night the guys called me up and said, we're hanging down at the Dube. And I said, I got my daughter with me. And one of the guys said, well, just bring her. And so, I brought her and we went to the Blue Danube, and it was about 10 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock in the morning. For some reason, the conversation turns to parenting, and whatnot. And I say, I'm a good parent. And Loftus, who doesn't miss a beat, is smoking a cigarette, because you could back then, smoking a cigarette and going, yeah, you're a great dad. Your daughter's asleep in a booth at a bar at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Danielle is watching on Facebook right now.
Yeah, she knows, and that child turned on to be a premier bartender in New York City. So maybe we instilled something in her.
She cut her teeth early at the Dube.
Early childhood education at a time.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of changing subjects, but kind of not really. Did you hear the Dube? Somebody's gonna try to reopen it.
Yeah, it's going to reopen. They're going to try to reestablish the same feel and thing about it. That place has got a lot of history. Danielle says yes, and it set the tone for my whole life. Well, you're welcome, darling.
Hey, Dino, text Mike and see if he's having issues.
All right, I can do that. I can do that. But I want to thank everybody who's tuned in thus far. This has been a blast from the get-go.
Well, and I think everybody's.
He said, "I thought I was back." You're not. He says to me, "I thought you were back. You're not. Try again. Try again.
Yeah.
Try spell, Dean. Spell. Try again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
I'll keep my. Yeah, we're looking for him here. Because I said everyone's working from home. I know a lot of people are zooming with their friends and family. So there are high loads right now.
I'm telling you, I made a joke about my my DVD collection and when the internet crashes, but I keep thinking about that with so many people just, overloading the internet. Can you imagine that if the internet crashes, what the people who are relying on the internet now to stay in some sort of social contact lose that? Can you imagine if this would have happened? Everybody talks about, I remember being, there he is, he's back. He's back. Is he back? Is he back?
He's there.
He's there. Are you back, brother? I see a little bit. Yeah. He's still
very, very choppy.
It is choppy. It is a little choppy. Talk, Michael.
I blame Ronald McDonald.
Say something. Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
I can hear you. I can hear you speak, and then it'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Damn it.
And then it'll.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll do a wrap.
We'll tighten this up nice and make it look pretty for YouTube.
No one will be the wiser.
YouTube and the audio. Yeah.
Sit in post.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll just.
I
I
notice your camera never messes up, Dean. I notice you and
Hansberry
and Hansberry are out with me. Just pull aside. Pull aside.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't claim sabotage. Why would I want this to end? You told me we had an hour. I wish I had 2 more freaking hours with you before it was all said and done. So no, this makes me a little sad.
Well, we'll have
go ahead
to do a part 2.
A part
we'll
2.
Have to do a part 2. We'll do another one. We'll come back on. Listen, we're in quarantine, man. It's a Wednesday night.
We got nothing to do.
Yep. Nothing to do.
Nice.
I know you can hear me. So
we can do.
I want
this. We can crush. I want more booze talk. I want more talk of booze. I need a lot more nudity, preferably from no one on this screen.
Oh man!
No. Not the same. No, you don't want the nude. No, you don't want to see me naked. Trust me. And I think you have over the years. Now that I think about back in past stand-up days.
All right.
But I want to say 2 things. Number 1, moving forward, and I don't know if you can comment. I know you can hear. Michael is currently, Kevin James has not sloughed off in this downtime. He's putting out all these beautiful shorts on YouTube, and Michael Loftus is a part of some of those. Hope and Dreams is the little series in The Office that you should check out. And by all means, the Loftus Party is a huge hit on YouTube. If you've not signed up and subscribed yet, you should definitely do that. I also want to thank you, brother, for being very gracious and now including Whiskey Business. You're putting Whiskey Business on the Loftus Party site as well for people to tune into, and that's a huge boom to us. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I can't hear you, but the Kevin James Netflix show is definitely happening, right? And is it about a NASCAR race car driver? Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. Yeah. So that's, what if it's real? Okay. I can see that. What if it's real? You could be a NASCAR driver. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. That's what we're all hoping.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. What if it was real? Hansberry. Yeah. Well, this is real. This is real.
Yeah.
All right, man. I'm going to let you go. For those of you who have tuned in on Facebook Live, thank you so much. We're going to wrap it up. Hansberry, real quick, remind people again where they need to go, what they need to do, so forth and so on before we say an official goodbye to Michael Loftus.
If you're watching us right now on Facebook Live, thank you. Make sure you share this link on your page with all your friends. We appreciate it. Like us if you haven't already. We're also on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Whiskey Business with Dino Tripodis. But of course, subscribe to Whiskey Business on your favorite podcasting app. We got a hell of a lot of downtime right now, so binge listening to a bunch of old episodes, including with Jeff Gage. I mean, we got a lot of fun, great comedians on. What else? Subscribe, rate, and review us there, and check out our new website, whiskeybusinesspod.com, where you can see our whiskey wisdom videos and some blogs. Dino's been writing some fun content there.
Yeah, all kind of fun stuff. We're trying to stay in the mix with everything and everybody. Sarah says Michael was an awesome guest. Please have him back for a part 2. Yeah, without a doubt. We'll definitely have a part 2. We got a lot more to talk about. Brother, thank you so much. I know you can hear me. I love you. Continued success. My best to Pam and the family. The boys are growing up fast. Everything's going crazy. So please send her my love as well. To everybody watching on Facebook
Nice
Live.
barn.
Yeah, nice barn.
Nice barn, yeah.
Yeah, nice barn background. To everybody watching on Facebook Live, thank you so much. Thank you for supporting Whiskey Business.
I know, it's awesome. It's awesome. Carol Merrill.
It's great. It's great. The guest bottle has been Jefferson's Reserve, very old, very small batch whiskey, between $50 and $60 a bottle. Worth the money, folks. Check it out if you want to splurge a little bit. On behalf of Greg Hansberry, John Whitney, and our very, very special guest, Michael Loftus, the Loftus Party on YouTube. Subscribe and enjoy. Until the next bottle. See ya.